chỉ 2 viên mỗi ngày, các anh yếu đến mấy cũng khỏe, dứt điểm ngay tình trạng yếu sinh lý khó cương, giảm ham muốn, không phải lệ thuộc vào thuốc, an toàn lành tính và đặc biệt không gây tác dụng phụ.
Cái Trường Xuân Vương này là anh càng uống nó càng đầm và sức khỏe chung nó đi lên. Vì nó có tác dụng là tâm, can, tỳ, phế, thận thì nó tăng cường được cái sức khỏe chung. Chứ còn nếu mà chúng ta chỉ uống có để nó đi vào đường thận ấy thì mới chỉ là một vấn đề thôi.
Cái sản phẩm Trường Xuân Vương này từ khi tôi sử dụng thì tôi thấy sức khỏe rất tốt, chung là ngủ tốt, mà về bên đây sinh lý cũng rất tốt. Thì so với cái sản phẩm khác thì tôi thấy nó tốt rất nhiều, tốt hơn rất là nhiều.
Nhưng từ ngày uống cái thuốc này để là cái độ đi tiểu tiện nó ít đi. Thế thỉnh thoảng có gặp bà tí là vui vẻ, cái là ngủ là một mạch cho đến sáng luôn.
Sản phẩm Trường Xuân Vương này rất là tốt, thì tôi dùng khoảng được 2 tuần. Tôi thấy cảm thấy người nó khỏe khoắn ra, coi như cảm thấy đi lại với vợ nó khoan khoái hơn.
Với quan điểm nam dược trị nam nhân, các bài thuốc do bác sĩ Nguyễn Hữu Trọng nghiên cứu và điều chế hoàn toàn từ thảo dược thiên nhiên để cơ thể người bệnh tự sinh ra những chất cần thiết, chống lại sự già nua, suy giảm sức khỏe và sinh lý. Bên cạnh đó, thấu hiểu được nỗi lo lắng và sự vất vả của người bệnh trong quá trình điều trị, ông luôn đau đáu về việc làm sao để điều chế ra bài thuốc nhằm cung cấp cho người dùng tiện lợi, không phải sắc uống đỡ mất thời gian, lại đảm bảo an toàn vệ sinh tuyệt đối. Đó chính là lý do sản phẩm Trường Xuân Vương được ra đời bởi Viện Nghiên cứu Y học cổ truyền Sản phẩm hữu cơ Việt Nam do bác sĩ Nguyễn Hữu Trọng làm viện trưởng chuyển giao cho Công ty Cổ phần Phát Đạt sản xuất và phân phối, giúp hỗ trợ bổ thận, tráng dương, tăng cường khả năng sinh lý nam và hạn chế quá trình lão hóa, mãn dục nam.
Trường Xuân Vương là một sản phẩm do bác sĩ Trọng cùng các chuyên gia đầu ngành của Viện Nghiên cứu Y học cổ truyền Sản phẩm hữu cơ Việt Nam nghiên cứu từ thảo dược lành tính, không gây tác dụng phụ, cải thiện sinh lực nam một cách bền vững. Theo một cái đường dài thì tôi sẽ đi theo Trường Xuân Vương để có thể tăng cường sinh lực cho mình, giúp cho một cơ thể khỏe mạnh, cường tráng và tạo bớt đi cái áp lực công việc. Đặc biệt nữa là bí quyết có thể giữ được lửa hạnh phúc trong gia đình tôi.
Sản phẩm hỗ trợ tăng cường sinh lực khỏe mạnh trong thế giới hiện đại cũng rất là quan trọng. Tôi cũng đã biết về bác sĩ Nguyễn Hữu Trọng đã rất lâu rồi, rất ngưỡng mộ bác về cái công tác chuyên môn hàng chục năm trong lĩnh vực đông nam dược. Đây là một trong những sản phẩm cho nam giới tự tin hơn, mạnh mẽ hơn và đặc biệt là nó mạnh cả nghĩa đen lẫn nghĩa bóng.
Thế thì sau khi sử dụng sản phẩm được hơn 1 tháng thì tôi thấy là đặc biệt là cái tình trạng yếu sinh lý của tôi đã được cải thiện rõ rệt. Thế trước kia thì hai vợ chồng quan hệ là chỉ được 4 đến 5 phút. Nhưng bây giờ là đã quan hệ khoảng độ 15 đến 20 phút. Ngoài ra các cái triệu chứng ví dụ như là tiểu đêm, tiểu dắt và đau mỏi cơ thể là hoàn toàn biến mất. Để cảm thấy là rất là phấn khởi.
Tôi phải cảm ơn người vợ của tôi đã tìm cho tôi được một cái sản phẩm tuyệt vời. Bây giờ tôi cảm thấy là rất là tự tin, bản lĩnh đàn ông đầy mình luôn và cuộc sống gia đình cũng rất hạnh phúc.
Phải công nhận là cái sản phẩm này quá hiệu quả. Từ khi mà ông xã nhà tôi sử dụng cái sản phẩm Trường Xuân Vương này, ôi dồi ôi, lên vù vù, tôi thật sự choáng luôn ấy.
Sợ thật, công nhận là tuyệt vời đấy nha. Ông xã nhà tôi nha, ngày xưa chưa đi ra chợ là đã hết tiền rồi đấy. Thế nhưng mà bây giờ nha, 1 tuần được 2-3 lần và mỗi lần 15-20 phút.
Một ưu điểm ở cái sản phẩm này ấy, mà tôi tâm đắc nhất đó là có thể kết hợp dùng cùng với cả các loại thuốc được. Bà biết không, trước kia ông xã nhà tôi còn bị tiểu đường này, huyết áp này, mỡ máu này, mà còn kết hợp dùng với cả Trường Xuân Vương này, vô tư, không vấn đề gì cả. Đấy, tôi nói thật sự, cho nên cái sản phẩm này rất là công dụng.
With a tack rag or a tack cloth, this is the Merca brand one. I never realised just how big an influence these can have on the quality of your work. So you go over and blow them off with air and then paint them, so I'm going to wet on wet this through 3 stages. Any little tiny bit of dust is going to build up and get worse. So I'll run over with compressed air and a tack rag and wipe all of those parts down. And then I'll start with the products. So I'm going to use the CF Black Epoxy, then we'll go base coat, and then we'll go with the satin clear.
I can guarantee you that most probably by the near future, there will always be smaller things in our shop we will change just to make life easier for us and to make the design and manufacturing of building epoxy tables easier for us. And you guys do want to stick around till round about the middle part of this video, because there's a really important announcement we want to share with all the hobbyists, the DIYists, and for all the people that wants to start a company but don't know where to start. And you guys do want to stick around till the end to see how this masterpiece came out. Now, starting this week's project off, we are going to build something unique, something special, something the client asked us that they don't want a traditional epoxy river table. They wanted something different, something funky. And that's where the design part of this project was really tricky. I think we took, normally when we design epoxy tables, we will take around about half an hour to an hour to design the layout. We will send it to the client and they were happy with it. With this specific project, we took almost, I would say, estimate around about 3 hours just to design this table. And I honestly do have to say that this table came out absolutely stunning. The specific wood species we are using for this project is called Matumi, because we always get queries internationally for all the tables we build. People always want to know what wood species we are using. So it's called Matumi, and unfortunately for all the international viewers, this is only locally sourced from South Africa. It comes more from Tseninworld up all the way into Botswana, going up all the way into Africa. It's one of the most popular wood species to build epoxy tables in our country. And I honestly do have to say the design came out magnificent. Also, another tip I want to share with you guys, what I'm busy doing now, is something we normally don't record on video. And before you're going to place your slabs into the mold, always make sure to air
YouTube, this right here is 2 coats of black primer. Two coats of the black primer. Now I'm about to tack everything off. It got dusty from all the cleaning off that balcony. I'm gonna tack everything off. I'm gonna hit it with another coat of the black primer. Alright, YouTube, this how I look after 3 coats of the black primer. Now I'm about to hit it with this satin black interior paint from Sim. A lot of people be calling it dye. It clearly says on the back, color coat is not dye. It don't matter. I got something that's going on top of them anyway, but I'm about to slap y'all back on the time lapse and go ahead and knock it out. But it might not be able to work on this can. She don't want to clamp right. Yeah. Once it get hard, I gotta go around, feather edge some of these parts, clean up and know where the little door bezels go. But man, tell me that ain't cool. Stone coat countertop epoxy. Yes, sir. I'm gonna go in there and paint all these little spots where the epoxy stuck to it and rip the paint up. Paint all this back black. Even though the speaker have most of it covered, I just wanted to look uniform. I messed these speaker grills up, and then I had broke this one. So I think what I'm gonna do, I might try to cut these out and make one of the metal pieces, put the metal speaker mesh in them, but I'm gonna paint it black. I think that's the move. See how they jump flow over the side? It's wicked. That's what I was saying about all the imperfections that it had. Like this filled all that up. I knew it was gonna come out good on this piece because this is like the flat surface piece, but these came out better than I expected. Especially this one, I like that one. Yeah, I can tell I used some of the paint that I painted Summer Rain with. Put that in the epoxy. I had tried to put a little bit of the glow in the dark effect, but last night I really couldn't tell if it was working, so. But I might end the video off right here. Go ahead and upload it. Let y'all check that thing out. But yeah, that came out decent. Well, I like that. The other side flowing too. Yes, sir. You see how it still got the drips down there? They ain't all the way hard. It's gonna get rock hard. The epoxy resin get rock hard. Solid. But I just went on ahead and unmasked everything. So when these pieces do get rock hard, I can go through, sand them all down smooth, get everything feather edge smooth, and then I paint in here. All the parts where the paint peeled up when I was peeling the epoxy off and the tape, I painted in there. But man, these came out nice as hell. And it was fun to do. Like I said, man, Stone Coat countertop epoxy, them videos be popping up on YouTube all the time. So I always wanted to use this shit. And this shit is fun, came out good. I just need a better setup. It's too fucking compact up here on my balcony. That's why your boy
brush them to remove all the dust particles from your slab. Also remember to wipe your wood off, because there will always be smaller dust particles that you need to remove before you're going to cast your epoxy. Now we're just busy placing all our pieces of wood into our mold we just built, and I know I'm most probably going to get some critics for this step, but we found in removing all the dust particles before we're going to cast our epoxy, we just use a leaf blower, because there's enormous amount of air that comes out that goes into all the small little cracks and holes that will remove the last dust particles. Now I'm just busy calculating the amount of epoxy we're going to use, and this was a really tricky calculation because there was a lot of bends, twists and turns, height differences, but at the end, it's not that difficult of a calculation to make. It's really simple if you don't complicate things too much. It's a simple calculation of length times width times height, and I will go more into detail on this in the center of this video, where I'm going to do some more explanation on a epoxy masterclass we are presenting for people that wants to start building epoxy tables. Now I'm just busy mixing my part A resin and my part B hardener together, and it's quite critical to get your ratios absolutely 100%. You don't want a mistake at this part. Another tip I want to share with you guys is in mixing your colors. The specific client asked for a transparent blue color, and it's quite critical in each batch of epoxy you're mixing that you add the exact same amount of drops in to have consistent color C. Now I'm just busy testing out our new tool in our shop, and that is a vacuum chamber. And I honestly do have to say that this changed the way we build tables. This method is literally removing all the air bubbles from your epoxy. It was quite expensive, but definitely an investment for our company. Now, busy casting the epoxy, you will see as we cast more layers after one another, you will see the colors will become darker on the blue. And another tip I want to share with you guys, in when you're going to pour your epoxy, pour it on a ridge, on an edge of your table. This will prevent more air bubbles from coming out. And another tip I want to share with you guys is that when you're casting your epoxy, cast it slowly. And as you can see, my live edges on my slabs are not sealed. Now, the way we previously done it in the past is we would seal our live edges with epoxy. We will wait for it to dry. Then we will come and scuff it and sand it up. So when we're going to cast our epoxy, that the new epoxy we're casting will bond to the edge of our slab. But we stopped using that method, because if you think about it logically, we want the epoxy to penetrate into the wood. And thus is why we are using this method I'm currently using. We are using a deep casting epoxy, which means I can literally cast the full depth of this table in one go. But we still prefer to cast our epoxy in layers, which takes us round about 5 to 6 days. It's winter now, so it will take around about 6 days because the epoxy takes longer to cure. And this is a massive tip I want to share with you guys in casting the next layer. As you can see, the layer I'm busy tapping now is tacky. It's like a toffee, but it's still not a liquid form. And this is absolutely the best method we found in casting the next layer of epoxy. Instead of waiting for that layer to dry and sand it and then cast your next layer, we will wait for the perfect timing once the layer you just casted becomes tacky, that you cast your next layer. That bond between the two layers are absolutely the best bond you will ever get. So there's something I want to share with you guys, in something we've been working extremely hard on. And that is by compiling a complete epoxy online masterclass. We get so much queries internationally of all the methods we're using. People keeps on asking us sanding methods, polishing methods, everything regarding how to build a epoxy table successfully. So we took the liberty in designing and filming a full 3-hour online course, which you can watch in your own time, exactly how we manufacture and design epoxy tables. In this class, we are literally taking you by the hand and showing you from start to finish every single thing you need to know to build a epoxy table successfully. The course is 3 hours long. I am going to leave a link down in the description of this video where you can go to our website and where you can purchase this online epoxy masterclass. I think there's more than 1,000 people that already purchased the class, and we have so much positive feedback on people that started small companies. People that were so scared of working with epoxy that are so comfortable with working epoxy now. People that's making small chopping boards. People that's DIYists and hobbyists that were so afraid of working with epoxy, and now they are so comfortable with working with epoxy. Like I mentioned, this will literally show you every single thing in detail, how we manufacture and design all our tables. Check this ad out and you can decide for yourself if you want to purchase it or not.
We've been building epoxy tables for many years now, and we are finally going to share all our methods and techniques with you. My name is Greg, and I am going to show you how to build the perfect epoxy table. I'm going to show you all the tools you need, exactly how to use them, and show you some tips and tricks down the line.
Things. So what's the structure of that?
So there's two types of epoxies. There's an amine, which is like araldite glue, and then there's the one that we use in the custom world, which has an isocyanate hardener. So just quickly, CF is chromate free. Right. Chromates were banned.
Yep.
So you have to have a chromate free product, and that's what the CF stands for.
Okay.
Nothing more.
There you go. Learn something every day.
Something easy, right? So if you have an amine cured epoxy like an araldite, you can put a coat down and you can paint over it. So in the truck world, they use these type of epoxies to put colour over the epoxy. With our world, we want to put body filler on. So these are a bit stickier and chewier. What we want is something that's harder and we can sand, so we use the isocyanate-based hardener. So DP616.
Righto, so that solves that. So CF is great, and I just did a whole lot of brackets and things for the muscle car yesterday actually, and I like that because I can then put base coat and then use the satin clear. Gives me a nice hard surface. I don't plan on rubbing it at all. It's like bang 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 and the job's done. When we go then into epoxy urethane primer, and obviously DP616 is what we're using on this car, and I've been using it forever and I love the product. I'm not going to go into that now, but there are other epoxies. So there's the 2K, which is the Epotec.
Yep, Epotec, from our Protec range,
Now, it's a different product again to the DP616. Explain us a little bit about what the
Epotec's a great product. Again, been around for a long time, but it goes rock hard. It's fantastic. If you want to paint on an undercarriage or internal areas or just paint something that you don't want to coat, the Epotec's great. You can use that, but when you try and sand it, it's quite hard.
So is there a timeline with that? Does it go hard straight away? Or if I know a lot of people use it on the outside. A lot of sandblasters use it. It's very cost effective. They'll put it on the outside. If you've got that on, if you use it on the outside of a car, of a build, is there a timeline where it's not too bad to sand and then it goes hard, or is it pretty much hard?
Once it cures, it's hard. It goes rock hard. And the other thing with something like that epoxy is you can't use it wet on wet with a spray polyester. So here's where DP616 comes in. We can put body filler, hand applied over it. We can use it wet on wet with spray polyester, with primer, so it's a bit more universal. Whereas something like Epotec is not as universal. And then an etch primer is basically only has one function, to stick to the metal.
So I like the 616 primarily because I can put it on. If I want to do a little bit of welding on the edges, it doesn't fry up. It just changes to a red colour and it's really functional that way. But it doesn't, I'm not looking for a massive amount of build film out of the epoxy, which I've spoken to other custom guys and they like the Epotec because it gives them some build. Should they be using it to get build, or is that just the nature of the product?
It depends what you want the build for. If you just want to paint it and leave it, the build's good. But if you're ready to prime the job or spray poly it, you can put a coat of the 616 on in 20 minutes, you know, you can have a good look at it and say, am I ready to prime it? Have I missed something? Did I miss a ripple? Did I miss some deep scratches? You can give it a quick sand.
Yep.
You know, so you've still got that option. Once you put an amine epoxy on or the Epitech type epoxy, then it's wet for a long time. You've got to wait for it to completely chemically dry, and then you've got to sand it and start again.
Okay, so just to sort of recap, because this gets a little bit confusing. So we've got the acid etch for the hard stuff, and we go to an epoxy, and we've got a couple of different products there, or 3 different products, the CF for the brackets and the industrial chassis, those sorts of things. When we then go to that next stage, I like to use the epoxy almost like a trace coat. So I'll do the 616, then I'll do my filler, then I'll do epoxy again, and I use normally a 1.4, or I know it probably should be a 1.8, because I'm just looking to get a nice coat on there to seal it off, and if I'm happy, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not looking to get a whole lot of build film out of the epoxy, because I'm either going to prime it with a high build primer, or if I think I need to, depending on the job, I'm going to go with a poly.
Yeah.
And a poly, guys, is basically filler in the gun, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, liquid body filler.
Liquid body filler.
Yeah.
So
Everyone thinks you need to cast your second layer of epoxy once your first layer has set. That's not true. You need to cast your second layer of epoxy once your first layer has become tacky. This masterclass has been designed for all woodworkers, from your beginner all the way up to your experts. Click on this video or in the description down below for more information.
So the prices for the course will go up by next month, so you guys must probably have another week left. Then the course will double in price, so make sure you go and check it out before the prices go up. Continuing with the video, like I mentioned before, we are using a deep casting epoxy, which technically we can cast the whole table in one go, but what we found is that casting in layers, we are still using a deep casting epoxy, but casting the table over the course of say 5 to 6 days, casting a total amount of, depending on the thickness of the slab, we will cast around about five layers we will cast, and we found that this reduces the amount of bubbles we have. Remember, we don't seal our live edges, so you will always have small micro bubbles on the edge of your slab. This is why we cast in layers, because deep casting epoxy obviously takes longer to cure, and this helps us to remove 98% of all our air bubbles. Now, taking the table to one of our suppliers' shop, which he has a massive CNC machine. Now, we are obviously not in a position to purchase a CNC machine because it's truly really expensive. So for a small cost, we just take it to our supplier. It takes us around about 2 hours to flatten our table both sides, and this is the most critical step in making sure that you have a flat surface between your wood and your epoxy. Now, the way we previously done it, I think we only done it once or twice way at the start when we started manufacturing epoxy tables, is we would have done it manually with a router sled. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, but we found that it's so messy and it takes us just too much time in getting our surface flat, and that's why we don't waste our time anymore. We just pay the small fee, and doing it on a CNC machine is just way faster, and it saves us so much time in completing this project. Having the table back in my shop, we are going to start sanding with our Festool Rotex machine in the Rotex setting. Now, the Rotex setting is like a belt sander setting, but it's not as aggressive as a belt sander. This step is to remove all the CNC lines the CNC machine made. You will see on the table there's so many lines, and the 80 grit sandpaper is going to remove all those lines. This step is quite critical for the next step that's going to follow in our build.
I've been working hard, I'm telling you. House coming soon, garage coming soon. That way I'll be able to drop this content at least 2-3 videos a week, dog. I'm telling you. I just ain't got the space to do it at the crib. And summer rain all the way across town at my uncle's house. Summer rain is definitely a show car. A lot of this stuff I wouldn't do to other cars, but just because that's my baby, she a show car, man, I'm making her look awesome, and this is cool as hell. So the wood grain gotta go. All the little wood grain that's on the dashboard and on the doors, I got something for that too. So there ain't gonna be no wood grain in her. Gots to go. I know that light. Y'all don't say nothing about my drips now. She ain't finalized. But I'm gonna have to let her sit for about another day or so. They dry enough for me to take in the house. I'm gonna take them in the crib. We'll find a corner in here, let them sit for a day, let them get nice and warm, heat it up. And then I'll do the top coat. I have them ready by the next video when I be back over there at Aunt's house getting busy. I got a lot to do. I got the Dakota Digital. I got all my music. Only thing I got all my music other than the 415s. I still got to order the subs. But I got all the amps. I got the batteries. Got all the wires. The head unit. It's go time. And I'm still waiting on the rotating assembly from Texas Speed. I think I'm gonna call their ass today. Today makes 6 weeks. I was gonna wait till at least 8, but hell, I might give them a holler today. See what they got going on. But that dash, hell, man. I gotta get it. I need better setup, better lighting, man. Look at this shit, it's hard. What did I sand them all down smooth? Hit them with that top coat, that matte finish. Oh man. Throw the bezels in there, speakers in there. The top part, all right, so the top part's on. All right, so on Steve Davis, he sell the ones, I think he make them out of wood, and they got the light in them. Whoo, I got to have some. Got to have some. Yes, sir. Because another reason why I want them, for the back, I'm gonna see if he can make it the way I can put my my window switch right here, cause that's how it is on the front ones. The window switch is up here, and then these switches right here, well, the lock switch is up here, and the window switches and stuff is right there. But yeah, I'm gonna see if he can put my window switch in that thing. But yeah, man, tell me what y'all think about them, man. I try not to do too much color. I got carried away with that green over here. It's called like a blue-green. I ain't want to go too many colors. So I just threw that green in there with that blue, that black, and that silver. Yeah. I think she hit with summer rain though. I'm about to go ahead and upload this video. It's supposed to upload over the weekend. Today, Monday. So I'm gonna go ahead and finalize it and drop it. I know y'all be on my ass about these videos. But your boy be working, dog. When it's time to make some money, I gotta go get that money. I be doing this shit for fun, and most of the time this shit costs money. But yeah, I got to have me a house, dog. Alright. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think, dog. Let me know. And I'm gonna get back with y'all on the next video.
Well, I think this would be a first. So we've got 2 cars in the workshop on rotisseries at the same time, because I normally only do 1 car at a time and I only have the 1 rotisserie, but Adam and Kylie have the same one. So they've brought theirs down with all their bracketry that they made to put the car on it, and the reason I'm doing that now is I need to get the chassis painted, so that's over here. So it's in bare metal, so I need to really get that sealed up. So we're going to pull the front off it, and I'll get that into CF black epoxy, and because it's got to go back over once we get the underside done. So what you've seen us do inside the car, we're now going to do underneath, and then we'll seal that up with urethane before it goes into stone guard. So I'll get some of that done this week with Steve, and I've taken the opportunity this week. Darren's here this week for a couple of days, so I've taken the opportunity to get the outside finished, a lot of the little bits and pieces in around the door jambs, and now we'll get it up on its side and get underneath done, and then it goes into poly before it goes back together to get blocked out again. So along with all that underside of the car, what we're in the process of doing is cleaning up all of these suspension components. So things like this that are bare metal. So we'll give that a good clean up first to make sure we get all the greases and oils off it, because you can actually feel it's like quite greasy. And then once again we'll go CF black, and then I'll put some base coat and then some matte or satin clear. So we'll show you that process as well. Righto, so I said I'd show you the process. So these are all those parts. So some had paint on them that sanded up really good, and others, and this one here was the same. So it's even almost like an E-coat, so I've just sanded those, and then the others are all bare metal that we've either taken the paint off them or they were just cast. Now, I'm going to repeat myself over and over and over on this show, but not everybody watches every episode. Cleanliness. So prep sole, they've been done already. I'm ready to paint now, so I'm going to go over and wipe them all again, and then I'm going to go over. This is a good one where you've got to be careful. So we've got the data sheet, but when we read here again, and what I've already showed you is the flash off time's only 3 to 5 minutes. If you're using as a wet on wet paint system, which is what we're doing, we've got to allow 30 minutes air dry at 25 before top coating. So I'm going to use base coat now, which is a top coat. So now I need to wait 30 minutes before I can now apply that base coat over the top of the epoxy. Righto, so more data sheets. So the base coat is, you can mix that 2 ways. You can mix it just as a normal base coat, which is half thinner, half paint. But you can also, as a standard, but you can also activate. So you can actually add a hardener to it. Now, we did that a bit with some of the work we did on Boss XC. Helps with adhesion a little bit. Just doing brackets and things like I'm doing now, I'll just use the normal standard mix, but you can activate it so that it will go off. But if you've got any paint left over, then it's obviously going to dry and be finished with. Once again, it gives you all the information you need. And when we look down here to overcoat time, we're looking at 15 minutes before we can go to clear coat. So we've got a 5 to 10 minute flash off, and then 15 minutes before clear coat. And I think this just highlights that if you've got one bracket to do and you're going to do 2 coats of epoxy, 2 coats of colour, black on black you probably only need 1, and then 2 coats of clear, all those wait times, you've probably got about 2.5 hours. So if you take a part to your panel beater and ask him to paint one part, understand why the guy is going to frown on you, because it's going to take him 2 to 3 hours of process. And it's hard to walk away and go and do something else. So ideally you try and fill the booth up and do it all at the same time. Now the reason I'm using a clear coat is this particular product, so there's a semi-gloss and a matte in the Deltron obviously, and it's D8115-117. This product was developed for all of these matte cars that have come out. When you look at the sheet here, it'll actually show you Lamborghini, Mercedes, Smart, BMW. So all these cars that are coming out from the factory with a full body matte finish, that product's got to be very durable and it's got to obviously match what the factory had done. So this is PPG's product, and by mixing 50-50 of these two, you end up with that factory look. I like that look for things like what I'm doing now, suspension and brackets, but I also find probably within a week of it being painted, it goes very, very hard and is very durable for using on parts like I'm doing now. So that's why I'm using a clear coat, and it's probably a little bit more expensive than if you're just going to go and do a direct gloss with a bit of mattening base, but this will give you a better job. There you go, so that's a really nice durable finish and a nice satin appearance. Really does come up nice. Taking the opportunity to come up to PPG this morning up here at the training centre and have a talk to John. Morning, John.
Morning.
So we spent about an hour in the traffic this morning, which was fun. You gotta love Sydney, don't you?
Yeah, it was great.
But I mean, that's part of what happened. So the reason I wanted to come up here is there's this whole myth about the products that we all use in the industry, and I really want to have a chat to you about, we're at that stage now where we're doing epoxies and sealing all these different substrates, as you guys call them. Which is, you know, the steel and the aluminium and all those things. And I've always found it interesting, and I hear a lot of debate about the fact that there's so many different products.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get a bit of feedback from you. And the reason I'm talking to John is John and I have worked together for 25, 30 years on various projects, and John's been at PPG that long, but he's also a qualified spray painter.
Yeah.
And then worked in the training part of PPG and then product development, and of course now in sales. So he's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of background and seen a lot of these products evolve over the years. And the thing I'd like to talk to you about, John, is right from the start, where we go acid etchers, epoxy primers, CF primers, high build primers, there's all these different things. So if we can initially to talk about mild steel firstly, and that process of those different primers that you have, and why we're using them.
Yeah, look, I think where I'm fortunate is I get to see the product in development phase and understand why is it we need to bring out a new epoxy or an etch primer. And a lot of it's based on either a customer requirement, customer request, substrate request. You know, substrates keep changing.
And if I can cut you off for a second, when you're talking customer, you're talking Ford or GM or someone.
Customer is Ford, it's Howard Astle, it's the guy in the panel shop, it's the guy.
Obviously, you're not going to create a product just for me, but realistically,
for the Howard Astles,
types,
that's right, who are out there, you know, building cars and you know, recreating cars and restoring cars. So, you know, if you look at a car that's being restored, you know, you might have bare steel, you might have galvanised steel, aluminium, fiberglass. So it's difficult to say, look, just use that one product and that's all you'll have to use, because you know, you'll say, look, John, I'm doing a car inside. I just want to put an epoxy on that's shiny and not have to touch it. So people are saying something that will stick to the metal. Okay, so an acid etch primer is designed especially for aluminium and hard to stick to substrates, surfaces. So
like a fuel tank.
Fuel tank, right? You know, if you're doing an old Bentley or an old you know, relic that's made from complete aluminium surface, you would put an acid etch because you would get better adhesion to that particular substrate. You know, people want to paint engines and brake components and all different types of.
So if you use an acid etch, what then goes over that? Because being an acid, obviously there's limitations in what can go over.
An acid etch you would use and then prime over it. You know, but if you want to use body filler, you wouldn't mix it with acid etch primers. They're not very compatible. The actual.
So if I've got an old fuel tank and it's Galvo, and I acid etch it, and I want to put some filler in it, what do I do then? Epoxy over the acid etch?
Epoxy over the acid etch.
Okay.
So it would be a two-step process. And then you would be safe.
Okay. And obviously we can go and read the data sheets about when and how long.
So if you're using an acid etch or an epoxy, basically you want it to stick to the surface. So an acid etch is good because if the surface is, you know, 95% clean, it'll work its way through and stick. Epoxy's like a really good clean surface to stick to.
And
but they both
you
do the same
explained to me
thing.
before, epoxy is more like a glue.
Yes.
Than something that's biting in.
That's right. So it sticks to the surface, it bonds chemically versus an acid etch.
Okay, so epoxy now is a word we see a lot of.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes part of a bigger name, and sometimes it's just epoxy.
Yeah.
So I know with the products I've been or have used, so there's the CF Black I use a lot of if I'm doing brackets and things, which comes out of the industrial, so trailers and truck chassis and those sorts.
Done on the Charger. Everything. I already got the interior for it. I just got to get to it, but she getting the redo. Nothing wrong with the Charger mechanically. Motherfucker run and drive perfect. It's just that this fucking sunroof leaks, yo. Or it's water getting in here somehow. I don't know where the water getting in from, but it's water getting in here somehow. That's the main reason why I'm redoing the interior. Cause the water get in here, then the shit'll be sitting and it just getting molded. So all this shit coming out. I think I'm gonna put a panoramic roof on here. I know a lot of people been hitting me up about the G6 roof that I got. I think I'm gonna put the G6 roof up here. That's why I ain't been replying. But yeah, I'm gonna put the G6 roof in here. I got the interior out of a 2019 Dodge Charger that's going in here. The Charger getting the remix, man. So yeah, I'm gonna be snatching all this stuff out of here. I'm gonna use, I got one battery just like this over there in the box already. So I'm gonna have 2 of these batteries in the box. I'm gonna have 2 of these amps. And she gonna be pushing 415s. But all the music stuff that's in here, I'm taking out. I'm gonna start with this amp because I'm gonna need this amp for when I make my amp rack for the Caprice. This amp and that battery gonna be the first things I take. Them speakers, I'm not gonna use them speakers. I'm gonna leave them speakers in here. But I'm gonna take the battery and the amp. Let me go and snatch this amp out of here, because that's what I came for. Because the next time I go to Aunt Crib, I'm gonna be making the amp rack. This Charger 2006, she almost old school. Hell, in 3 years, she'll be 20 years old. She almost old school. Goddamn. Keeping my baby. Just gonna remix and make her look pretty again. That's all it is to it. But yeah, like I was saying, both of these will be going in the box. Yes, sir. I gotta find that other piece that go over here. It gotta be up under that damn speaker box. I do that. I just need this for mock-up. Both of them. Well, I can go ahead and put her where the hell she gonna go. And I need this for when I make the amp rack. So let's go on up here and check on these pieces, see if they dry enough to be sanded. I might have to let them sit for another 30 minutes or so. Cut y'all back on in a second. All right, YouTube, so these spots don't dry it up. I'm about to start knocking them down, getting them smooth, so I can go ahead and hit them with the top coat. Put y'all back on the time lapse, knock this out, and I'll cut y'all back on when I'm about to start spraying. Alright, YouTube, I got them all knocked down smooth. Now I'm about to take them out there so I can paint them. And while they out there drying, I'm gonna clean up my balcony. Get all this plastic and stuff up out of there. Cut y'all back on in a second. Alright, YouTube, I got everything outside set up, ready to be sprayed. I'm about to hit everything with some prep ball and then spray it with this black paint. Still got some imperfections in them, but the product that I'm gonna use to finish it should fill all them imperfections up. So yeah, let me finish on wiping these down and I'll cut y'all back on when I'm about to start spraying. Okay, there she go. Alright, YouTube, this how everything look after one coat of that sim or satin black. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hit it with another coat, and once everything dry, I'm gonna take it back up there on the balcony, and I'll cut y'all on when it's time to go to the next step. Alright, YouTube, I got these things upstairs, back on the balcony, and I got them prepped for what I'm about to finish them with. So what I got right here is some epoxy, stone coat countertops epoxy. I be on YouTube. Yo, they make the craziest things look like marble, bro. So what I'm about to do is I'm about to make my dash and my door panels look like marble. About to try to anyway. Got my cups and everything set up. Got some different colors. Different colors. that I want the marble to look like. I'm about to get busy. I even got some of the paint that I use to paint the Chevy. Got some of that too. I'm gonna put some of that with the epoxy. Oh, motherfucker. Get the shoe. I'm gonna get this glow effect. Alright, if I use this. I'm about to start pouring. Stone coat countertops. That was a lot. YouTube, I don't got everything unmasked. This came out nice. Boy, y'all know I like trying stuff. Y'all know I like trying stuff. And this came out nice. Look like an exotic piece of damn marble. That thing gonna be killer on the dashboard. Yes, sir. The door panels, the speaker pods. Now they all shiny now, but I got a top coat that I gotta put on them, which is a matte finish. So it won't be shiny. You'll still be able to see all the metallics and all the designs, but it's gonna have a matte finish. I gotta let it dry a little bit more, get harder.
Okay, I can't give you this one, but I can give you this one.
Yep.
Because this will do what you require. So it's about making sure we've got a product that will cater to what the people that are restoring the cars, repairing the cars, rebuilding the cars, what is it they need? And
or building a truck, because I mean this is where a lot of the products come from. So
right.
Just if we can try and shorten it, but like an acid etch.
Yeah.
Explain to me an acid etch.
So
just explain to these guys.
So there's a little bit of misunderstanding as well in terminology. So people go, you didn't use an etch. So an etch, people are saying something that will stick to the metal. Okay, so an acid etch primer is designed especially for aluminium and hard to stick to substrates, surfaces. So
like like a fuel tank.
Fuel tank, right? If you're doing an old Bentley or an old relic that's made from complete aluminium surface, you would put an acid etch because you would get better adhesion to that particular substrate. People want to paint engines and brake components and all different types of.
So if you use an acid etch, what then goes over that? Because being an acid, obviously there's limitations in what can go over.
An acid etch you would use and then prime over it. But if you want to use body filler, you wouldn't mix it with acid etch primers. They're not very compatible. The actual.
So if I've got an old fuel tank and it's Galvo, and I acid etch it, and I want to put some filler in it, what do I do then? Epoxy over the acid etch?
Epoxy over the acid etch.
Okay.
So it would be a two-step process.
Yep.
And then you would be safe.
Okay. And obviously we can go and read the data sheets about when and how long.
So if you're using an acid etch or an epoxy, basically you want it to stick to the surface. So an acid etch is good because if the surface is 95% clean, it'll work its way through and stick. Epoxy's like a really good clean surface to stick to.
And
but they both do the same
explained to
thing.
me before, epoxy is more like a glue.
Yes.
Than something that's biting in.
That's right. So it sticks to the surface, it bonds chemically versus an acid etch.
Okay, so epoxy now is the word we see a lot of.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes, just if we can try and, shorten it, but like an acid etch.
Yeah.
Explain to me an acid etch.
So
just explain to these guys.
So there's a little bit of misunderstanding as well in terminology. So people go, you didn't use an etch. So an etch,